Term incumbent from a liberal Maryland district in the Washington, D.C. suburbs, was not looking forward to this meeting. He had cruised through every election he had ever contested, thanks to political savvy, connections, and lots of special interest cash. But now, for the first time in his political career, he was in trouble. He had been redistricted, and the new district threw in more than 100,000 hardcore Republican voters from rural and upper-class areas. It was a disaster. The party leadership didn't so much as hiccup when the court handed down its decision. Even as he cooled his heels on the ornate tile of the majority leader's anteroom, with its magnificent view over the National Mall, Hugh Mackenzie was simmering. Gus did this to me for a reason, he thought. He could feel himself going red at the gills. Control, deep breaths, focus on the ask. By the time Majority Leader Clarence Gus Antley welcomed him into his enormous office, Mackenzie was all business. "Why isn't the party contesting this court order?" he said. "We're going to lose one seat for sure, maybe two." "You'll be fine, Hugh boy," Antley said. "You've got $2 million in the bank, a shot at leadership, and you keep telling me how much the Jews love you." If there was one thing Mackenzie hated more than the Jews in his own district, it was being reminded of his bullying father who had called him Hugh boy all of his life. He felt the heat returning to his cheeks. "Besides," the South Carolinian went on, putting on a drawl, "if we contest Maryland, then the Republicans are going to contest Iowa and Pennsylvania, where we win big." Mackenzie pulled out a color-coded map of the new district from his leather document folder and laid it on the table. "Those yahoos up there hate us. They hate me," he said forcefully, slapping at the large rural areas on the map. "What do you care?" Antley said. "You call it flyover country when you mock the president." Mackenzie persisted, pointing elsewhere on the map. "Down here along the Potomac, the median income is over $200,000 a year, and they hate me there, too." "Stop your whining," Antley said. "I've seen the numbers. You've got 50.2% registered Democrats. That's a lock." "Yeah, but many of them don't vote. Hispanics never vote. I've got 35% Hispanic, 10% Asian, and only 5% African American." "So make 'em vote," the majority leader said. "What do you mean?" Antley stood up and walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window framed in light walnut, stained and smoothed from generations of politicians massaging the wood as they schemed. "Just go out and do your job, Hugh boy," he said. "You'll figure it out." 2. Mackenzie's predicament deepened 4 months later when the Republicans nominated a strong, well-funded candidate to oppose him in the November election. It was the first time he had ever faced real opposition in his entire political career, at the state level or in Congress, and an uncomfortable ache started to gnaw at his stomach. He was going to have to fight, walk the parades instead of drive, marshal real volunteers instead of paid campaign workers, actually debate, maybe even go door to door, and all of this was while he was trying to do the people's business in the House. "Look, we'll just lean on our friends," Willie said. "You won't have to do house parties except with big donors, and don't even think of door to door. Citizens United is the gift that keeps on giving." Williston Willie Adams, his wife of 21 years, came from a patrician family near Baltimore but did everything she could to hide that fact. She worked as the legislative coordinator for the biggest federal workers' union in Maryland, AFGE. They had discussed the Supreme Court decision in Citizens United on and off for years. Early on, Mackenzie had campaigned against it and had joined a dozen Democrats and a Republican in sponsoring legislation, bipartisan legislation, he always insisted, that would walk back Citizens United and ban dark money from politics. But they always knew there was a perverse flip side to the decision, since it allowed Mackenzie and fellow Democrats